Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Shazwan bin Aslan, and today I will present about one type of motor that is direct online motor starter. Okay, let's get started. The first one is direct online motor starter. The introduction consists MCCB or circuit breaker, contactor, and an overload relay for protection. It is also contain protection devices, in some cases condition monitoring. And second is this condition will cause no harm to the motor even that is applied with a high voltage. Electromagnetic contactor which can be opened by the thermal overload relay under fault condition that is unexpected to them. Overcurrent protection. Overcurrent protection that protect the motor from the overcurrent fault, mostly the main ground fault and short circuit. Okay, and lastly is we have the overload protection of whenever motor draws too much amount of current to fulfill the load limit, and if load limit goes beyond the allowed limit. Okay, and then we go to the circuit and characteristic of the oil starter. The first part is we can see that there is a basic circuit of the oil starter, and then the first part is characteristic of the circuit. The first is three-phase connection. Join three-phase motor switch across the supplies of the three phases. The second is high starting torque. The third is voltage dips and high mechanical load. The fifth is current peaks, and it is easy switching devices. Okay, this motor is suitable for if the high inrush current of the motor does not cause excessive voltage drop in the supply circuit. For example, a utility may refer rural customer to use reduced voltage starters for motors larger than 10 kW. And second, this motor is suitable to start small water pumps, compressor, fans, and conveyor belt. And then we go to the principle of direct online motor starter. Okay, the first is the main heart flow starter is relay coil. Okay, and second is to start the contactor. To start the contactor is closed, applying the full line voltage to the motor winding. The very high inrush current for a very short time, the magnetic field in the iron, and then the current will be limited to the local rotor current and begin to accelerate toward the full speed. Okay, and the third one is that as the motor accelerates, the current will begin to drop until the motor is at high speed, typically about 85% of synchronized speed. Okay, the motor will affect the time taken for the motor to accelerate to full speed. Okay, and then we go to the principle of DAE. Provided the torque, the motor exceeds the load torque at all speeds during the start cycle, the motor will reach full speed. If the torque delivered by the motor is less than the torque delivered at any speed during the start cycle, the motor will stop accelerating. If the starting torque of the oil starter is insufficient for the load, the motor must be replaced with a motor which can develop a higher starting torque. Okay, the start time is dependent on the acceleration, torque, and load inertia. Okay, and the last one is this may cause an electrical problem with the supplies, or it may cause a mechanical problem with the driver load. So this will be inconvenient for the user of the supply. Or will experience a voltage drop when starting a motor. But if this motor is not high power, then it does not affect much. Okay, and then we go to the application of oil. As we can see, primary motor where a high inrush current does not cause excessive voltage drop in the supply circuit. Okay, these four pictures is the application you can use with the direct online motor. first one is small water pumps. The second one is conveyor, fans, and air compressor. In the case of this motor, the motor will allow the high static current until it has run up to full speed. Then we go to the advantages. The first one is simply to establish, create, and maintain. Simply control security. And third one is easy to understand and troubleshoot. Fourth is it provides 100% torque at the time of starting. And the fifth one is only one second level is mechanic for starter to motor. Motor is endorsement motor is connected in data at motor terminals. Then we go to our last slide. The disadvantages of the direct online motor starter. Okay, the first one, disadvantages is it does not meet the starting current of the motors. Number two, high starting current. Very high starting current may increase to 8 times the efficiency of the motors. Mechanical harsh. Thermal stress on the motor, reducing its life. Voltage dip. There is a voltage dip in the electrical installation because of high current value and the customer going to the same lines and therefore not setting with higher scale and cash flow. High starting torque. Unnecessary high starting torque even when required by the need. Thirdly, increased mechanical stress on the mechanical system such as rotor shaft, bearing, gearbox, coupling, chain drive, and connector equipment. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Iqmal Fitri bin Farizal, metric number AA191886. Today I would like to present about forward reverse direct online dual motor starter. Here we can see the introduction about forward reverse motor starter. This is a simplest form of motor starter for an induction motor. It also easiest method to employ. This forward reverse starter also allow the motor to generate its highest starting torque and provide the shortest acceleration time. Starter used when need to change the direction on the motor. Forward reverse can be used in two type of condition, which is forward and reverse. This motor usually used in 3-phase supply. Okay, we go to the next slide. This is about basic circuit and associates. This forward reverse motor used in a system where forward and backward or upward and downward movement in the operation. For your information, this motor we can use in two type of condition. But the motor can operate in one condition only, not in both condition, which is the motor can work in forward and backward or upward and downward. The motor cannot work in both condition, which is the motor cannot working in forward and backward and upward and downward. Then the motor also can be obtained by interchanging any two of its three terminal. As we know, this motor usually used in 3-phase supply. This motor also consists of few components such as MCB, overload relay, contactor, and push button. This is a protection of the circuit. We go to the next slide. As we can see here, this is a literal movement of an overhead crane driven by a motor. This is a process of forward and backward, while this is process downward and backward. So we go through to the next slide. As we can see, this is red, yellow, blue, the three phase of supply usually using for this motor. You can see this is a reverse contactor and this is forward contactor. This overload relay. This overload relay function to protect the circuit. Okay. We move to the characteristic of forward reverse motor starter. Characteristic of forward reverse motor starter construct from two regular contactor installed with a mechanical interlock. After that, this motor forward and reverse starter are dual type and not used and can be used below 5 horsepower motors. If we want to use, if the horsepower more than 5, we must using star delta circuit. After that, use where the motor can boost rotate in both side clockwise and anti-clockwise. As we know, this motor can work in two type of condition, which is forward and backward, but this motor cannot work in both condition such as upward and backward. This motor also provide complete protection from overloading. Then, the principle of operation, motor can be reserved by changing any two motor T leads. After that, through reversing controllers contain two separate contactors and one overload relay. Furthermore, the clockwise forward and counterclockwise reverse rotation of a motor can be caused by interchanging the connection of any of the two of its three terminals. This is the example of rotation of motor. We can see this clockwise direction of rotation and this is the anti-clockwise. We can see if you want to make the anti-clockwise, you must change the connection. Okay. Here we can see an application of forward reverse motor starter. The application of forward reverse motor starter was interlocking, mechanical interlocking, and electrical interlocking. Interlocking prevent some action from place until some other action has been taken. After that, electrical interlocking was one method is accomplished with the use of double acting pushing buttons, and then mechanical overlocking. Mechanical overlocking, most reversing controller contains mechanical interlock as well as electrical interlock. Mechanical interlocking is accomplished by using contactors to operate a mechanical lever that prevent the other contactors from closing while one is energized. After that, we can through to the advantage of forward reverse, which is low starting current, long life, good for long acceleration time, simple and most economical starter. Those starter connect the supply to the delta winding of the motor. This is disadvantage of this motor: unnecessary high starting torque, mechanical tough, complex wiring. Door starter reduce the lifespan of the machine. Door starter cause a significant dip in voltage, hence suitable only for small motor. High starting current, which is 5 to 8 times of full load currents. That's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Abdul Rahman. My number is 19072 and I will present the servo motor. Let's go to the next slide. What is servo motor? Servo motor are self-contained electric device that can rotate with great precision. For precise controller of angular and linear position, velocity and acceleration, it allows by rotary actuator or linear actuator. Servo motor can be found in many places because it is widely in our industry or home electronics, such as in radio controller model car, helicopter, and airplane. Also, we can find in our everyday device, such as servo motor is being used by electronic devices such as DVD and Blu-ray disc. It uses servo motor to extend or retract the disc tray. Basic circuit. The servo motor has three terminals. The first position signal, PWM pulses, VCC, and ground. The angular position of servo motor is controlled by the implementation of PWM pulse of a particular width. To understand the servo rotation based on PWM signal, consider the signal with 20 millisecond period and width of height pulse duration 1 millisecond min and 2 millisecond max. Depend on the high pulse signal time duration servo motor rotation gate change. The location of the servo motor is influenced by this because servo read the duty cycle of PWM signal of about 20 millisecond change in position. The on type of the PWM signal determine the angle to be rotated by the servo. The circuit is a variable duty cycle constant frequency. A stable vacuum regulator using the 5-5 timer and differs from the basic 5-5 stable circuit topology because it uses separate charge and discharge, result in the output signal of variable service cycle and constant frequency. Characteristic: power supply voltage and current. The power supply voltage and current values are specified for each type of servo motor, depend on the application. The common RC motor are powered from supplies in the range 4 to 6 volt and 100 mA to 2 mA. Operating speed. Servo have an operating speed in the range of 0.05 second to 0.2 second per 60 degree. The torque. Typical value of torque of servo motor are in the range of 0.45 to 10 kg per cm. Another characteristic control path. Two main types of control paths are used in RC application. Central position is 1 to 1 to 2 millisecond and 1.25 to 1.75 millisecond. Size and weight. This characteristic is important in the mechanic design of project. Typical RC servo motor have a weight range between 15 and 200 grams. Principle of operation. The servo motor operates on the principle of PWM, pulse width modulation, meaning that its rotation angle is controlled by the pulse duration applied to its control pin. The servo motor consists essentially of a DC motor controlled by a variable DC potentiometer and some gears. Small DC motor will rotate at high speed, but even a light load will not be sufficient to shift the torque produced by its rotation. The mechanism will take the high input speed of the motor and the output speed, which is lower but more efficient than the initial input speed. This output port of the potentiometer is connected with one of the input terminal of the error detector amplifier. Now an electrical signal is given to another input terminal of the error detector amplifier. Input signal to the motor is nil at that position. The motor stops rotating. Application. Servo motor are widely used in the industry that require rapid variation in speed without motor getting overheated. The servo motor is small and erratic, and it can be used some serious application like precision control. Robotic vehicle. In robotic vehicle are used in military application and bomb mutation. bomb detonation. It is because robotic application that require precision positioning implement the servo motor. Robot perform a wide number of tasks and moving from one place to another at certain speed. Pick up object from a specific point and another place it another. In solar tracking system, servo motor can adjust the angle of solar panels throughout the day, so that each panel continue to face the sun. Sun is not always facing one direction. When we servo motor, the solar panel will follow the sun in conveyor belt. The servo motor we use the conveyor belt to move an object from one assembly station to another. Servo motor move, start the conveyor belt that carry a product along various steps. For example in product packaging and bottling. When the product moves, the conveyor will stop and will drop the liquid or something. The precise position control ability of the servo come in handy. Advantage 1. Servo motor use feedback. Advantage 1. Servo motor have a greater precision. Servo motor use feedback device that use encoder to sense an error in a system and correct this error to meet the desired movement of the mechanism. Advantage 2. Servo motor produce lower audible noise. Probability servo motor are ninja quiet. The biggest source of noise in servo-driven application is often either the drivetrain or bearing. Advantage 3. Flexible winding technology. It allows simulating servo motor perform very closely. Servo motor can often be specially worn in a controller of small like CNC like fashion to match their performance, curve, and application speed and torque. Advantage 4. Servo motor have a prominent torque advantage. Servo motor have a prominent torque advantage. It run at high speed, can easily achieve speed of 3000 rpm, and it is not uncommon for some servo motor to achieve speed of 5000 to 6000 and even 8000 rpm while boosting usable torque. And the last one, disadvantages. Disadvantage 1. Servo motor require to stabilize the feedback loop. Tuning is a method by which the user optimizes the internal algorithm and electronic for physically controlling the torque, velocity, and position of the motor. And disadvantage 2. Servo motor and drive solution is more expensive. It is because servo motor require feedback and use more expensive magnet, often incorporate gearbox. They also consume more power at zero speed. Disadvantage 3. Servo motor has a jitter. Thank you. Let's go to the next.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, now we are going to learn about stepper motor. Stepper motor is a brushless DC electric motor that divides a full rotation into a number of equal steps. The motor's position can then be commanded to move and hold at one of these steps without any position sensor for feedback and open loop controller, as long as the motor is carefully sized to the application in respect to torque and speed. Briefly, there are three main types of stepper motors: permanent magnet stepper, variable reluctance stepper, and hybrid synchronous stepper. A stepper motor system consists of three basic elements. First one is indexer, which is we call it as controller. The second one is driver, or we can call it as amplifier, and stepper motor. Okay, next, a basic circuit in stepper motor. Stepper motor driver is a circuit or device that provides the necessary current and voltage to a stepper motor so that it has smooth operation. The circuit will then take the pulse signals from a controller and converts them into stepper motor motion. Stepper motor performance is strongly dependent on the driver circuit. Torque curves may be extended to greater speeds if the stator poles can be reversed more quickly. The limiting factor being a combination of winding inductance. To overcome the inductance and switch the winding quickly, one must increase the drive voltage. This leads further to the necessity of limiting the current that this high voltage may otherwise induce. The characteristic. A very simple stepper motor consists of a stator having having 3 salient poles, and a 2-pole rotor made of soft irons. The torque pulse rate characteristic of stepper motor give the variation of an electromagnetic torque as a function of stepping rate in pulse per second. There are two characteristic curves 1 and 2 shown in the figure below. These are the two characteristic curves 1 and 2 shown in the figure at the right. Curve 1, which is the blue color, is known as pull-in torque. Meanwhile, the curve 2, represented by red color, is known as pull-out torque. Now the principle of operation. The stepper motor working principle is electromagnetism. It includes a rotor which is made with a permanent magnet, whereas a stator is with electromagnet. Once the supply is provided to the winding of the stator, then the magnetic field will be developed within the stator. Now rotor in the motor will start to move with the rotating magnetic field of the stator. So this is the fundamental working principle of this motor. The application of stepper motor. In the field of lasers and optics, they are frequently used in precision positioning equipment such as linear actuators, linear stage, and rotating stage. Commercially, stepper motors are used in floppy disk drives, flatbed scanner, and computer printers. Other uses are in packaging machinery and positioning of valve pilot stage for a fluid control system. Now we'll take a look at the advantages and disadvantages. The advantages. First, stepper motors offer flexibility in application for a wide range of applications because the design of the stepper motor provides a constant holding torque without the need for the motor to be powered. Next, greater torque. The torque of a stepper motor of the same size of a servo motor at lower speeds is greater than that of a servo motor. And lastly, the advantage. Stepper motors are considered to be safer. Whereas if anything breaks in the stepper motor system, the stepper motor will stop. So it is considered to be safer. What about the disadvantages? The disadvantages, the torque of a stepper motor declines rapidly with speed, as torque is the inverse of speed as defined in the previous graph. Next, stepper motor can be very noisy. Stepper motor can be audibly very noisy at moderate to high speeds and have low output power for size and weight. And lastly, some of the stepper motor provide low efficiency. The stepper motor draws substantial power, remembering holding torque regardless of load. That's it. Thank you.